I designed my own engagement ring 10 years ago. Tonight, I watched another woman show it off to my clients at my boutique launch party. The sapphire came from my great-grandfather's mine in Montana. I spent 6 months selecting the perfect stone, another 6 designing the setting. When Marcus proposed, he gave it back to me in a velvet box, and I thought it was the most romantic thing in the world. He'd taken my design, my vision, and made it our beginning. Tonight was supposed to be my beginning too, just a different kind. The holiday collection launch at Chen Designs, my jewelry boutique in San Francisco's design district. 3 years of work. Investors, press, industry people who could make or break me. My parents flew in from Seattle. My college roommate drove up from LA. Marcus texted at 7, running late. Pitch ran over. Start without me. I wasn't surprised. He'd been distant lately, working longer hours at his venture capital firm. I told myself it was normal. We were both building our careers. This was the price of ambition. I adjusted my dress, checked my reflection one last time, and walked into my boutique. Champagne flowed. People admired the Phoenix collection, my comeback pieces after a hard year. Each design represented transformation, rising from ashes, finding strength in broken places. I designed them during the lonely months when Marcus was always at the office. When he started going to the gym at 5 a.m. When he bought new cologne. But tonight wasn't about that. Tonight was mine. At 8:30, Marcus finally arrived. I spotted him through the crowd, and my heart did that stupid flutter it still did after a decade. Then I saw her next to him, Amber, his 26-year-old executive assistant. I'd met her once at a company dinner, pretty in that Instagram filter way. Always on her phone. Marcus had introduced her casually. This is Amber, she keeps me organized. What he didn't say. She was wearing a dress that cost more than her assistant's salary. Carrying a Birkin bag. And on her left hand, catching every light in the room, was my sapphire ring. My ring. The one Marcus said he was taking for resizing 3 weeks ago. The band's a little loose, remember? I noticed you stopped wearing it. Don't want you to lose it. I believed him. Trusted him, handed over the most precious thing I owned. And now it was on her finger. I watched them move through the crowd. Marcus worked the room like he always did, shaking hands, laughing at jokes. Amber stayed close, giggling, touching his arm. And my ring, my grandmother's sapphire, sparkled under the gallery lights. My assistant Sarah appeared at my elbow. Boss, there's a photographer from SF magazine here. Wants to get some shots of you with the collection. I smiled. Nodded. Excused myself. In my office, I closed the door. Sat at my desk, breathed. 10 years. 10 years of marriage. Of compromise. Of stepping back so Marcus could step forward. Of being the supportive wife while he climbed the VC ladder. Of putting my dreams on hold, then fighting tooth and nail to build this boutique anyway. And he'd given my ring to her. I could make a scene. Storm out there. Rip it off her finger. Scream. Or I could do this right. I pulled up the security camera footage on my computer. Scrolled back to when they arrived. There, in grainy black and white, Marcus and Amber in the parking lot. His hand on her waist. A kiss that lasted too long. Her showing the ring to the valet, squealing. I saved the footage. Emailed it to myself. To my lawyer Tom, who was downstairs with a glass of wine, oblivious. Then I opened my phone and pulled up Amber's Instagram. She'd already posted 3 stories from my event. The most recent, from 15 minutes ago, a close-up of her left hand, my ring prominent, caption reading, he went to Jared. Just kidding. This is custom best surprise ever. Number, engagement season, number custom jewelry number, special moments, 12,000 followers. 200 likes already. Perfect. I stood up, smoothed my dress, and walked back into the party. Sarah intercepted me. The photographer's ready. Perfect. But first, I want to do something special. I raised my voice, got everyone's attention. Excuse me, everyone. Can I have your attention for a moment? The crowd quieted. Faces turned toward me. I saw my parents, confused but supportive. Tom, my lawyer. Alert and already suspicious he knew me too well. The investors, the press, the industry people I'd been trying to impress all night. And Marcus, near the back, with Amber at his side. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. This collection means everything to me. Each piece tells a story about transformation, about finding strength in unexpected places. I paused, let the moment settle. And speaking of stories, I'd like to share one about a very special ring. Amber, could you come up here for a moment? I saw the confusion flash across her face. Excitement, too. She thought this was an honor. Recognition. Marcus looked uncertain, but he gave her an encouraging nod. Amber made her way through the crowd, all smiles and nervous energy. She stood next to me, and I took her hand gently, raising it so everyone could see the ring. "This is a beautiful piece, isn't it?" I said to the crowd. "The sapphire is particularly stunning. It came from Montana, from a mine my great-grandfather discovered in 1952. He pulled this exact stone from the earth himself." Amber's smile froze. "I selected it when I was 25 years old," I continued, my voice steady. "Spent 6 months designing this setting. The platinum band with the filigree work, the small diamonds as accent stones, the way the sapphire sits just slightly elevated to catch the light. I sketched it 50 times before I got it right." The room was silent. People were starting to understand. And exactly 10 years ago, my then-fiancé Marcus gave it back to me as our engagement ring. We got married 6 months later. I wore it every day for a decade. I turned to Amber, whose face had gone pale. "This isn't custom designed for you, sweetheart. It's custom designed by me for me. And I'd like it back now." Amber looked at Marcus. Marcus looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. "Olivia," he started, moving through the crowd. "Let's discuss this privately." "No." My voice cut through the murmur of whispers. "You brought her here. To my event. To celebrate my work. Wearing my ring. The ring I designed, the ring I inherited, the ring you promised to have resized. We're discussing this publicly." I held out my hand to Amber. "The ring, please." She fumbled with it, hands shaking. It slid off easily, of course it did, it wasn't sized for her. She dropped it into my palm. "I didn't know," she whispered. "He told me he designed it for me." He said. I know what he said. I closed my fingers around the ring, felt its familiar weight. "It's not your fault he's a liar." I turned to the crowd. Several people were recording on their phones. "Good. Let them. I want to thank you all for being here tonight to witness something important. Not my collection launch, though I hope you'll still enjoy the pieces. But this, the moment I remembered my own value." I looked at Marcus. He stood frozen, his face red, surrounded by his VC colleagues and clients. One of them, David Kim, was a major investor in his firm. David's wife Jennifer stood next to him, arms crossed, expression disgusted. "Marcus, I want you to leave. You're no longer welcome in my store." "Olivia, be reasonable." "I am being reasonable. I'm being generous, actually. I could have you arrested for theft. This ring is worth $40,000. But I'm going to let you walk out of here on your own." "Stephen?" I nodded to my security guard. "Please escort Mr. Chen and his guest out." "You're being dramatic," Marcus hissed, but his voice shook. "No, I'm being clear." "Tom?" I looked at my lawyer. "I'll see you tomorrow morning. We have papers to file." Tom nodded, already pulling out his phone. "Wait," Marcus said, desperation creeping in. "Liv, we can work this out. It was a mistake. She doesn't mean anything." "You're right," I said. "She doesn't. And neither do you. Not anymore." David Kim stepped forward. "Marcus, Jennifer, and I need to talk to you about your position at the firm. Your judgment calls lately have been concerning. We'll schedule a meeting Monday morning." Marcus's face went white. His entire career, his reputation, crumbling in real time. Amber had already fled, crying. Stephen stood patiently near Marcus, waiting. "The bar tab is on you tonight, Marcus," I said. "Consider it a divorce present. Everyone, please continue enjoying the evening. The champagne is excellent." There was a beat of silence. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then the whole room erupted in applause. Marcus walked out, Stephen close behind him. The door closed. The party resumed. My mother appeared at my side, wrapped me in a hug. "I never liked him," she whispered. I laughed. Cried a little. Held the ring up to the light one more time, watching the sapphire catch fire. That night, after everyone left, I sat in my workshop. The ring sat on my workbench, this object that had meant so much for so long. I could have kept it. worn it as a reminder of what I'd overcome. But every time I looked at it, I'd see his proposal. Our wedding. The decade I'd invested in a man who'd given me away as easily as he'd given away my grandmother's legacy. So I made a decision. I spent the next month redesigning it. I removed the sapphire from its setting, set it in a new piece, a pendant with a phoenix rising around the stone. I called it Unbreakable. The remaining gold and platinum I melted down, reformed into a new ring with the inscription, "True sapphires don't lose their value." I wore the pendant to my divorce hearing 3 months later. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue for half my business. Tom shut that down fast. I'd started Chen Designs before we married, never mixed finances, and had a prenup. Marcus lost his position at the VC firm 2 weeks after the party. Turns out David Kim's wife had been cheated on before, had zero tolerance for it. She convinced David to restructure the partnership, push Marcus out. Last I heard, he was working for a smaller firm in Sacramento. Amber's Instagram disappeared. Someone told me she'd moved back to Arizona. The Unbreakable pendant became the centerpiece of a new collection I launched in spring. Every piece was made from jewelry women had sent me after seeing the video of that night. Yes, someone posted it, and yes, it went viral. Engagement rings from failed marriages. Necklaces from dead relationships. Bracelets that symbolize things they wanted to leave behind. I transformed them. Gave them new life. New meaning. Each sale donated 20% to domestic violence shelters. We've raised over $200,000 so far. My boutique tripled its revenue in the first year after the divorce. Turns out, women like buying jewelry from someone who understands that sometimes the most precious stones are the ones we reclaim from our own wreckage. I'm dating again. Slowly. Carefully. I went out with Tom's brother last month. He's a marine biologist. Teaches me about deep-sea creatures while I teach him about gemstone formation. It's nice, easy. No pressure. Sometimes I think about that night at the launch party. How I could have fallen apart. Screamed. Made myself smaller. Instead, I chose to take up space. To speak my truth. To demand what was mine. Marcus gave away my ring thinking I'd be too embarrassed to fight back. Too polite to make a scene. Too afraid of looking bitter or crazy. He forgot that I'd built an empire from raw stones and fire. That pressure doesn't break me, it turns me into something harder, clearer, more valuable. True sapphires don't lose their value in the heat, they're formed by it. And so was I.